man there trying to stop Drogba getting himself into further trouble.
Oh, it's not a bad ball for Pele on the right side. It's Carlos Alberto. Oh, what a great goal that was! Carlos Alberto.
Maradona just walked away from Huddle then. Saldano smokes and Maradona! They're appealing for offside. The ball came back off the foot of Steve Hodge. And Maradona gives Argentina the lead. The England players protesting to the referee.
De halve finale komen. Ik heb opeens zo'n gevoel dat we in de halve finale gaan komen. Met het balbezit voor Frank de Boer. Frank de Boer speelt de bal. Heel goed naar Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp neemt de bal aan. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Oh! Frank de Boer speelt de bal naar Dennis Bergkamp. Die neemt de bal feilloos aan. En die schiet de bal erin.
So hello and welcome back to the Scoreless Thriller podcast. We're going to be doing a bit of a review and a wrap up of the first round of the Euros today, and then also kind of looking forward to the fixtures. But we're delighted to be joined again by Sebastian from CampFire Football. Thank you so much for waking up so early and talking to me again.
Oh, well, you know, I what I told you, I would actually do this an hour earlier than right now so that we could actually be watching the Finland-Russia game as it's going, because that's being played at the moment. Yeah, no, I had to get a proper night's sleep. So we're doing this now. But this is when I wake up every day for this. This is what's so exciting about the Euros is, you know, you have that daily schedule, right? It's just like the World Cup. It's like 3 a day. I know exactly what I'm doing with my morning. So I wake up at about, 6 a.m. here. I start watering my garden, make myself coffee, and just get ready for 3 matches back to back to back, right? That's my life right now.
Yeah.
And then I do coaching in the
was,
evening with some players, but that's
yeah. I had the situation yesterday where I was like looking at the schedule and then wait, where's the third match? Who stole it from me? What am I going to do with this time now?
Who stole it from me? That's the thing. You have that day where you go 3, and then 2. You're like, this isn't fair.
I'm being betrayed here.
There's that one day where there's 4. All at separate time slots. There's always one day.
No, okay.
And then there's 4 a day, but they're at the same.
2 at the same time.
2 at the same time. But I think there's one day where there's 4, and they're at different time slots. I remember in Russia that was one thing. I always remember there's one day in the group stage where it was just like from beginning to end. It's 4 games in a day. You can't ask for more football than that. And so I think that we have that on the schedule. I think it's the last set of games in the second round of first round.
Yeah,
matches.
Before
they start doubling up.
Yeah, maybe it's Sunday. I'm not sure. It might be one of the days this weekend.
But it's a beautiful bonanza. It's been fun.
How have you found the tournament so far? What games have you particularly enjoyed? Obviously, Germany-France was kind of last night, and that was kind of viewed beforehand as like the big game of the first round.
Yeah, well, I'll start with that because you just brought it up. I actually thought that was probably the most interesting game to watch, the France-Germany game, because of the level of quality that both teams had. I mean, there were moments where if the defense and the midfield were not in really perfect organization, either team could have, in 2 or 3 passes and a couple good runs, could have cut through each other. So they were, in a sense, cagey. But there's also so much technical quality on the ball from both teams that the whole game just looked slick. And I thought that was nice to finally see the highest level, the highest bar. I think that was the highest bar set so far. The most exciting game was Holland against, what was it?
It's Ukraine.
That's right, yeah. Ukraine. That was the most fun in terms of just, an all-out battle, with both teams really involved from my perspective. And then there's always games where someone's trying to punch above their weight that are really fun. I thought the North Macedonia Austria game was really exciting, right? Just for Goran Pandev, Was I saw
He
someone
scored
put up a thing that said that Goran
age
Pandev is now
58 or
the
something.
oldest and youngest goal scorer for North Macedonia at 37. So those are great stories, and I thought that game was a lot of fun because the goals were actually really good as well. And now I just before we started, I read that Marko Arnautovic has received a 1-match ban for his celebration.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if did you see what he did?
He was racially slurring against the basically.
Yeah, apparently. He did this symbol, which I think it here means asshole. I don't really know. I think I'm not sure how far he went beyond that, but it looked. I mean, he was having very strong words for whoever it was he was talking to, and then they said, it had to do with a racial rant sort of against Albanians, which is
he's calling them effing Albanians. But if you also watch the footage, you can see he's shouting, and Alaba is like trying to clench his, with a dog clench his thing shut.
Yeah. No, that was a tough one. Also, I remember the commentary. No one really knew what this all was about, and it was like a bit of an awkward state because this symbol surely also has another political meaning, which would fit more into the kind of right-wing slurs. So yeah.
I mean, I would imagine it doesn't mean the same thing everywhere. So that's the way hand gestures work, right? So I saw that, and I was like, man, this guy's got something to say. I mean, he was not on the field very long. How do you generate that much beef with a center back in like 12 minutes? I don't know.
You'd be surprised, I think, playing against Marko Arnautovic. I have a feeling that
I know that, but that was interesting, though. I mean, what I love is that this is what these international tournaments bring out of players, is that sort of level of raw intensity, and passion. I think what I saw yesterday from Hungary after the game, all together with their hands on their hearts, singing the national anthem with like that massive stand of fans. It was lovely to see, really great. So this is the thing: is there's moments every day that are beautiful. I don't know. What are some of the moments that you guys have just been like, okay, this is great?
Yeah, I think some of them have been slightly unsung. Like I think a lot of people complained about the Sweden versus Spain game because it was kind of basically an attack versus defense game, but some of the kind of like body on the line sort of Sweden defending and then defending with like 15% of possession and then just desperately hanging on, and then also how they had the chance to win it as well. I thought that was that game like Berg, I don't know how Berg misses that chance, right? But like that one I really enjoyed too. And then like they said, the Hungary-Portugal game yesterday, I like really enjoyed just because the whole atmosphere around it was like a home game, and they were like battling so hard, but then still sometimes causing Portugal problems on the break. And just when you thought, okay, Portugal are really getting frustrated and they might actually like lose this, and then they get the goal, and then it kind of all crumbles, and it's like, okay, like normal service is resumed. But like for that brief period where you thought, okay, wow, Hungary might do something really special here.
And it was not until I actually heard Jose Mourinho talk about this that I found out that Portugal are playing all 3 of their group stage matches, not just away from home, but at the home of the opponent. So they played in Budapest, they're going to play in Paris, and they're going to play in Munich. Yeah, that's really, I mean, it's a bizarre thing to happen, right? And I was wondering about how much of a mess it must have been to structure the tournament with all these cities and all these teams, and then the groups get set the way they do. How do you do this so you avoid that?
Well, I think the thing was that there was, so I just take the example of like Ireland was supposed to be twinned with Spain, so that we would have 2 home games and they would have 2 home games. So you'd like have 2 host cities. And then, but what's happened is some cities have lost their hosting rights because not being able to live up to some, I think they wanted like 12,000 in the stadiums at least or something. So then those cities have lost it. So they've sort of like had to kind of throw a bit of it together, and it's been a bit.
But I was wondering, generally, also with this setup, I was wondering for the teams themselves, whether it feels weird, because surely part of the tournament usually is that you go to a different location and then you are in the hotel together, you build kind of this dynamics within the team, and that's kind of part of this whole experience. And whether missing this now since you've got like loads of home games for some of the teams, other teams you're going all around Europe the whole time, whether that meddles a bit with this tournament feeling.
But also, like, Wales are based in Baku. Like they must feel like almost like a world away. Like they've got their 2 games in Baku, and then I think they finish with the game against Italy in Rome. But I mean, for them it must feel slightly weird. Like they're playing in this kind of quite empty stadium against Switzerland, right? And then like they had the first, they had the game against Switzerland, right? And now they have the game against Turkey in Baku as well. So that's kind of a pretty interesting experience. But what about you, Leon? What game or some moments have you particularly enjoyed?
I mean,
not so much the game last night.
Yeah. I mean, I thought about the match last night because I'm a German, and it was an interesting one because I feel like tactically it was incredibly high the level, and also the ease with which everyone was passing the ball around was stunning. But I talked about this in our pod earlier, that I was a bit fearful of Jogi Löw, the German coach, just trying to press the tactical idea he has been following for the last years onto this new team, where some of the new players have come in. And I feel like that's very much happened, where control of the game is sacrificed for creativity. And so they were a bit spiteless in the last third of the pitch, I felt. So yeah, that was my analysis of the game yesterday.
Rudiger didn't lack bite though.
No, he was. I was wondering what this was all about, because
you tee them up and I'll knock them away.
Because he was having a chat with Pogba afterwards, right? And it looked like they were getting along.
Sorry for trying to take a bit out of your back for.
but also everyone in German TV, they were like, what was this about? Was it like a friendly gesture? Was it like weird one?
Well, the way Pogba reacted after it didn't, like, he went like this. He pointed in his ear, which meant talk to your official, because
something's going on.
Essentially, Pogba was essentially asking for them to check it.
I know.
And if they, which is, I mean, here's the thing. I'm a Chelsea fan. I can tell you right now, one thing we all know about Antonio Rudiger is he's got a screw loose, and that's what makes him a good center back. But the guy's definitely got a screw loose. I think he does things at times that you're like, what, why do you need to go and dominate physically against somebody? You're fine. You know, I will say this about that game is, from the German perspective, this was, I mean, I cannot think of a single person who gave them much of a chance at all of winning this game.
Yeah.
In the lead up, I heard everyone lazily saying, France by a country mile, clearly. I mean, the idea that France are going to beat Germany by a country mile ever. No. These two teams they're better than that. And what I thought was actually interesting, you look at it, and this France team is such a well-oiled machine. This is the same coach now for, 5 years at least, I think it is. And there's a huge amount of continuity. There's the buy-in for doing what the coach asks with that France team is at the highest level you can ask. So these games are defined by moments. And Paul Pogba's pass to pick out Lucas Hernandez, and then just the threat that Kylian Mbappe, I think Benzema showed what's been missing. And then you have N'Golo Kante, and then Rafael Varane and Kimpembe, I thought were spotless and perfect. And you have a team like that with a couple difference makers. For Germany to lose 1-0 to the team that everyone thinks A, is going to easily win the tournament, and that B, Germany will definitely not advance, I think that's ridiculous. I mean, they're a good team, but they're young, and I think Hansi Flick's actually really going to help.
Definitely,
because it maybe almost the best time. Let it go just a little stale, and then bring in Hansi Flick. Sort of, he can do his repeat of what he did at Bayern, because he took over a stale Niko Kovac operation, and and
still you have some continuity there too, right? Because he was the co-coach with Löw for quite a while, so he knows the team. It's not like a completely new experiment where this also might backfire incredibly, because he knows his way around the German team. So that's for sure. And then, I mean, of course, the Netherlands-Ukraine game was insane. Like that was definitely my highlight, because you had everything. You had the emotional roller coaster. You had beautiful goals. It was very dynamic, lots of chances left and right. So that was the beauty.
How about your first taste of Scottish heartbreak? Leon went to watch the Scotland Czech Republic game with two Scottish friends of ours in like a little fan village. Did you enjoy your first taste of what it means to be a Scottish fan?
Oh no, I did. Everyone prepared me pretty well. Like as soon like, as the Czechs set that first corner, they were all like, "This is going to continue from now on. Like we'll just defend." And then everyone was really surprised at how things were going, which makes it even more bittersweet. It's we actually thought that there was something there, and then just this crushing. But also what a beautiful goal, right, by Czech. I mean, that's one to be remembered. Just after midline, he fires it all across the pitch, right into the goal. That was a really good one.
That goal is my highlight for the tournament so far. Not so much for the goal itself, which is great, but also for, I'm not sure if you've seen this, Stephen A.Smith of ESPN, sort of renowned for his certain, you probably know this better than most of us, sort of bombast and like very dramatic description of some of this. I'm just gonna play what he heard. Maybe
please do. Stephen A is
he's a character, Leon. That's just, he's kind of like, his selling point is that he's a lot. And then I'm just gonna play this and see. Let me know if you can hear it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's time for one of my favorite segments. You know what it is. Ain't no way. These are moments that are sometimes successful, sometimes not. But ain't no way they should have ever happened. This is a special one-play edition of Ain't No Way. You gotta check this out right here. This is Czech Republic taking on Scotland at Euro 2020. Patrick Schick launches a shot from just inside half field, and the ball flies over David Marshall for the goal. Let's show that play again, please. Show it right there. I mean, kicking it from halfway down the field. Take another look. Marshall's way out of his goal, and Schick takes advantage for a second goal of the game. Czech Republic go on to win 2-0. Ain't no way. Shot like that should happen, especially in Euro 2020.
Oh my goodness, it's brilliant.
That's why Euro 2020 is just so special right now.
Nah, that's gold. Yeah.
I don't know why it gets kind of weirdly sexual at the end. Like I don't know why.
It's
2020.
Stephen A. Stephen A. The guy. Look, Stephen A. Smith is a guy who, in the United States, especially in my time growing up, you used to see him all the time on ESPN because he was an anchor on there. He was a sports anchor. And he did games and did different things, did different shows. But I think within the last 4 or 5 years, he was finally given like a status platform, like top status. He's the highest paid sports anchor, I think, in the country. And that was a big deal when a guy, you have a black man becomes the highest paid sports anchor, or like highest TV personality, and that's a big deal. And he is the guy who, in my opinion, when I hear him talk, I hear a just 1980s MC, right? Like that early hip hop. I can dominate the mic. I can say things. I can say, "Ain't no way," and say it 7 times in the same segment and still sound fly.
Yeah.
Right. And that's he is, in my opinion, he's the embodiment of like what MCs were in the 80s and everything, and also sort of how, I mean, that style, that sort of that, I don't know, that demeanor is a huge core of what hip hop music in the United States is. And so when you see this guy on TV and they give him license to run because, the dynamism of his personality, and some of his segments are insane. And when it's fun to hear him talk about this because you're like, you're out of your depth. You don't really know much of what you're talking about, but you're bringing the energy, right? Yeah. And me as a fan, I hear it. I'm like, oh man, you're one of those people who sounds like this with this accent, but you don't really know what you're talking about when it comes to this. But hey, he brings it. So, and that is an excellent clip, by the way. That's terrific. Mm-hmm. Well done to play that. Awesome.
Really enjoy that. Okay, let's talk briefly about a couple of other games. So Italy kicked off the tournament, and everyone kind of said they were quite impressive. Do you think that they have the potential to kind of go quite far again, or do you think it was more that Turkey were particularly bad?
Well, I haven't. This is the one thing that I didn't do, mostly because of the way third place, the fact that 4 third place teams go through overall
It makes it
it's so
impossible
hard
to make a chart of where
what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But Italy, from what I understand, if they win their group and other things go the way they're supposed to, they could have a relatively easy run just to the semifinal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's interesting because I think Italy are a team that is built to beat anyone beneath them in quality. Not spectacularly necessarily, not, like what we saw against Turkey.
Yeah.
They're good enough to keep the ball. They have class players, and I'm assuming that they're going to come with that same passion, even if they're not playing at home. Right. I have a feeling that Italy are, especially now, you set the tone with a 3-0 win at the beginning. Now the energy that comes with being at a major tournament and having a set goal at the end becomes a lot clearer for them. So, I mean, I don't think Italy are going to win the competition because I think they lack those players that will win you the game. I think we saw that yesterday with France and Germany. If France did not have special players, I don't think they really win that game. I think that's a 0-0 draw, a 1-1 draw. It's so
yeah, but that was definitely the difference, right? They have the playmakers. They've got like Mbappe. He'll just run away from you and then he'll score.
Yeah,
So,
and I feel like Deschamps' system isn't particularly complicated. It just sort of like relies and knows that they've got the players that even in the second half where France was quite happy to have Germany have the ball, they were just Mbappe just needs to get one counter attack right and Hummels get the wrong side.
But this slide from Hummels, we haven't talked about this.
Oh, insane! It's so good.
This was one of the moments of this tournament too.
What a tackle!
Like what a tackle! Also
it's
the balls
sort of
to do this tackle, because he scored his own goal. Like he could have completely destroyed the match if he gets a red card there and there's a penalty kick. But that he still does it, insane. So much kudos.
I mean, that he tried.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the slow motion replay, he gets his leg through Mbappe's legs to touch the ball. I mean, that is as risky
as can be.
It gets.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they didn't call a penalty because I think you see that tackle in the Premier League this past season. VAR ponders over it for ages, and someone says, "Yeah, well, there was contact."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's. I have to say something that has not been talked about a whole lot, but the officiating has been at the highest level I've ever seen.
I agree.
Yeah.
I have not had a genuine issue with any decision.
No.
There's some that I don't agree with. But like, for instance, the red card
For
what was
Poland.
it?
Yeah.
For Poland.
Yes,
Yeah, it
yes,
was quite
yes,
harsh.
Krychowiak.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't really think so. The penalty yesterday for Portugal, again, I don't really agree. But there's not much wrong with the decision in the first place. On top of that, things have been dealt with quickly.
VAR is a big example of that, I think, like just the quickness compared to the 5 minutes with the Premier
Exactly.
League.
Oh my
And it's more in the flow.
It's-
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And also, again, if you watch the Premier League, and this is something that I have against a lot of people who only watch the Premier League, is that people say it's the most physical league in the world, the referees let the game go. Not true. I think over the last 2 years that I've been watching, I think the Premier League has become a league where more fouls are called and more yellow cards are given for small infractions than in almost any other league I see. I think if you want to see a league where VAR is actually being done quite well, and I'm not saying perfect, but it's in the United States. And it's because Howard Webb is actually the guy in charge of VAR in the United States. And one of the big things that they say is we want to let the game go and we really want to stick with referee decisions. So if they make a call, if it's not a clear and obvious mistake, we're not overturning it. And they really do stick with the clear and obvious. There's some calls that you're like, what? You're like, well, I guess in the moment he saw that. All right, let's move on.
It's clear, but it's not obvious.
Nice to do that.
Yeah,
Exactly. You don't get both words. You got to get clear and obvious. Double down on it. But I have to say the officiating has been excellent. It's been nice to not talk about, referee controversy every single match, and to watch games continue and to watch players go down, look for a foul, look at the referee, and the referee's like, no.
But that's what I like so much.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Because also that's how they let the flow of a game evolve and develop throughout the match. I 100% agree. Super nice. And also I feel like with a few former tournaments, sometimes whole matches have been spoiled by decisions of refereeing, and then you only talked about these ones. None of these matches have occurred so far. Like, very good. Mm-hmm. But to bring it back to Italy, I think that's exactly what Italy is missing. The Mbappes on the Pogbas that can drive the ball forward in the last third of the pitch. But of course, rock solid defending. So.
Mm-hmm. One thing I would say is I feel like Mancini is probably a pretty good coach at this tournament level, and I think a lot of these big teams have like some questions about their coaches, like, and about their abilities to drive the team. And I feel like in a one-off knockout game, Mancini can probably set up the team for a big win. But I just want to briefly talk about two big games this weekend, and then we'll finish up. Just on Friday, the England-Scotland game. From what you've seen, Sebastian, do you think the Scots have much of a chance?
Well, I mean, look, they were really unlucky against the Czech Republic. Yeah. And I say unlucky in the sense that they did everything right. They didn't do much wrong. Yeah. But they didn't do anything exceptional. And Patrick Schick did. And so that was the difference in the game. I said in one of my episodes, Andy Robertson needed to score that opportunity he had in the early stages of the game.
It's a big chance.
It's a big chance. And the thing that I said is that, look, like at Liverpool, you're going to get loads of those in a game. So you can go ahead and hit the first time shot and draw a save out of the goalkeeper. And, everyone's like, yeah, let's go. Let's keep. In these international tournaments, there's a chance you will not see that opportunity again in that game. And so I thought it was naive of him to just shoot like that. He is the marquee player in this team. Those are big moments.
But his shooting is not. Like, I've seen him with those.
I agree.
Before, and I think what they're saying in the punditry is that he was trying to sort of curl it in low to his left, and he ends up getting it wrong, which means it kind of goes high, and it's not that like easily savable height. But I've seen him with those chances, like with Liverpool, and it's like. He just doesn't really like ever look that comfortable to kind of find the corner or have some composure for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of that just comes with what level of responsibility that chance is, and I think at Liverpool he has very little responsibility with those chances.
It's more
he's a left back marauding forward. You've bombed up 60 yards, ball comes to you, hit it one time. Oh, great save by the goalkeeper. Hey. But not for Scotland. You're not going to get that many opportunities. So you just need to be more careful with those. And I'm not saying he should have scored, but he should have, from my opinion, done something clearly a little bit more precise. And I think that level of precision is what Scotland were missing. Here's the beauty. Against England, it's a totally different game, right? It is a derby. Right?
Yeah. I feel like they just need to make it a kind of blood and thunder. Don't give England any space. Just break it up as much as possible and kind of play as much as possible into that kind of derby thing. Because if it becomes a football match and like England's sort of playmakers can play, then I think they'll get torn to shreds.
So I think Scotland need to try to play the atmosphere and then the game. And England need to try and play the game first and manage the atmosphere. Because England need to just go in cold, do the right things, have some quality, and they should win the game. But if Scotland turn it into one of those British Isle battles, then who knows? I think Scotland have the spirit. They have nothing to lose. And we've seen England lock up a lot just because of just the pressure. And I mean, I'd love to know what you guys think about just the way people have been talking about every single decision and setup that the English have. I mean, Southgate, doesn't matter who he starts, he's going to get questions of why he didn't start someone else.
I think
and this level of doubt.
I think there is a slight kind of tetchiness almost to England now because of this kind of media stuff. And whereas it compares to like in 2018, there was very much a sort of crest of a wave and very kind of positive. I think you saw also in Sterling's post match interview, he's like, what do you mean I justified my selection? There is like, I think somehow maybe Scotland can like get into this kind of slight frustration, and England, and also the whole thing with England and their fans and the booing of the taking the knee and this kind of creation of this kind of conflict. I think there is like the potential for this to kind of somewhat maybe fall apart, and the kind of the way things have always fallen apart for England. But on the other hand, I just think like Southgate is the perfect diplomat in how he kind of knits it all together. So you wouldn't want someone else to lead the England team right now.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, like you said, I think it's very much possible, but they do have, I think, the right leader in charge. But yeah, this is what I think about that game. It's right. I mean, Leon, what do you think? To me, it seems like it's all about, can England actually maintain what level they're supposed to be and mentally come clean into the game, because Scotland can make this messy.
Nah, I surely 100% agree. I mean, I feel like also against Croatia, you could see that England was all fired up at the beginning, but then towards the end of the first half, you could see that they were slacking a bit. It was not 100% effective. And if Scotland gets to that point and then brings in all the dynamism that they can evolve in a derby, then surely there's a window of opportunity. I think so too.
Yeah.
But my frustration, though, with Scotland is just the way that the game against Czech Republic went. Like, if they'd been able to win that game or even draw it, they kind of go into this game with England as with a bit of confidence. It's a bit of a free hit. It's a big day at Wembley, and there's not that much like expectation on their tournament. But now that they've lost the first game, I feel like it just kind of, I would feel slightly, if there's a goal behind, that it could get kind of quite ugly. But then I wanted to talk about the other game this weekend with Portugal and Germany, and with this kind of resting that Germany kind of know that if they lose this, their tournament might be over. So do you think that Jogi Löw will change much for this game, Leon?
I don't think so. I think he's rather consistent. Also, in Munich, there are not that many beaches that he can walk along, like in Brazil back in the days. Yeah, when he got the divine intervention.
Maybe you just go to like a beer hall.
Yeah. No, I think he won't change much. I think overall the overall sentiment after the match against France was that we did what we came here to do, and France just was that bit better because they've got unique players. But if we continue to kind of perform on this level of proficiency and with these tactics, then we've got good chances. So I think that's the spirit with which they're going to go into the match on Saturday. And I do think they've got good chances that it works out against Portugal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think I was more impressed with Germany in defeat than I was with Portugal in victory.
Yeah.
I assume most people were. Portugal, not many people were very impressed with what they were doing by halftime. And I think they deserve more credit than they got, because they were playing away from home from 67,000 Hungarians. It's not exactly a tame environment.
No. I don't think enough of people paid attention to the home thing before in the preview for this tournament, and also like the differences to like some stadiums being full, like in Hungary, and others being like half empty, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's so many different situations. I think Holland are another team. They apparently, I think, are scheduled to play every game in Amsterdam until the semifinal.
Yeah.
Something. I mean, that is insane.
Yeah.
That's an amazing. So the thing is, I'm actually enjoying this for the sole reason that this is the only time they're doing it this way with this structure.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually the perfect way for the Euros to happen after COVID, where you just have it across Europe. There's travel happening, right? People are able to move around. It seems like, Euro 2021, by the way. Can I call it that?
It's so weird.
With this Euro 2020
yeah, I agree.
I've gotten used to it by now.
Fair enough. Yeah. But at the beginning, it felt weird.
Yeah.
I have heard commentators sort of get flummoxed by that. They're like, and welcome back to Euro 2020. Just kind of trail off. They're like, I don't know which number I'm supposed to say.
Euro 2020 on the 15th of June, 2021.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's been, first of all, it's been an amazing tournament. And I just think that, especially with that game, Germany-Portugal, what I think we'll actually see is the game. This is the one that I think everyone has wrong. Everyone believes Portugal will beat Germany because, I don't know, that's the way everyone has decided it's going to go. Because people have decided Germany will finish third, Portugal second, France first. I actually think this is the match that everyone's got wrong. I think Germany will beat Portugal, to be honest. They're more efficient. They know how to defend. And Cristiano Ronaldo for German defense is not that big of a problem.
I mean, so far never has been, yeah.
Yeah, so I actually really do see Germany winning their second game and making this group really bizarre, right? Yeah.
Before you go, Sebastian, who was your pre-tournament favorite? Who was you predicted to win the tournament?
I'm a France fan, so this is horrible. My mother's from France. I became a France disciple in '98 watching Zidane, and I think prior to that I was an England fan. I loved that some of the players from that generation, but I love both. But the thing about having that target on your back of favorites, you're just like, well, now the only option for any kind of surprise is to lose. And believe me, we've seen, when France went into the 2002 World Cup, everybody was like, I don't even see, no one can come close. Like this French team, they're miles beyond everybody else. They're the clear tournament favorites. They should win the World Cup again. And they were out in the group stage.
0 goals scored. And
yeah, it was brutal. And so, yes, France, I think obvious tournament favorites. I think it's more interesting to talk about the second one, and I think it's Belgium. I think Belgium are the second favorites to win the whole competition. They are stacked, and they're doing it without their two best players right now. So that gives a whole level of confidence to what the collective can do when you go out and you easily win a game without Eden Hazard, without Kevin De Bruyne, and you know that they're on the way in. So.
Yeah, they look. I'm not sure Russia were particularly good, but they just look so controlled and really fitting together in that game.
Yeah,
I think it'd be super interesting to see how they do tomorrow against Denmark, because obviously we're living in Copenhagen, and the whole Christian Eriksen situation, how that will affect. We don't know really how the Danish team will kind of react to that tomorrow.
And I really actually on ground level, being in Denmark, what general sentiment, is it pretty much the same as around the world? Shock, horror, happiness, relief, the combination of everything?
Yeah. I don't know whether you want to take it firstly on, but I think it's still a lot of shock, but also I think just for the football, I think people are they don't really care. All expectations on the Danish team are kind of gone now. I think before, and everyone was super excited about, because they've got one of the best teams ever, and really excited for what they can do in this tournament. And now I think people are kind of pretty much, it's kind of understandable if they're not really.
I agree. Surely it put things into perspective, and then suddenly football isn't the most important stuff in the world anymore, which is of course completely fair. But I do think, of course, also the loss against Finland factors into this, because I don't think many people see Denmark winning against Belgium, and then that leaves you in a pretty tough spot, right?
And I think also, broadly, there's still quite a bit of anger about them having to have played that second half.
Yeah.
And, there was a way that kind of UEFA gave them two options. That was play that evening, or else in 12 hours tomorrow morning. And when you were still, not really exactly set.
What you mentioned, though, is really interesting. It's teams, because, a competition like this, if you don't have a good, solid group, it doesn't really matter what your talent and tactics are. You need a good unit, a good solid together unit. And you combine everything that Denmark are going through, and you add the layer of the fact that they clearly have a very good collective spirit.
For sure.
And now they're pissed.
Yeah.
Without their star. This is a team who could go and piss in the punch bowl for anyone that they come against, right? Because at this point, screw it. It's the gods have just been entirely against you from the 43rd minute of the tournament. And now what? Right. And so I can see them really making life difficult for anyone they play against. I just think Belgium are just too good.
Yeah. That's the
I
thing.
mean, the other thing is it is at home tomorrow and in the same stadium, and I'm just really curious as to what the atmosphere will be like at that game.
It's going to be electric. It's going to be electric. They're going to, I mean, the fans they need to release. Yeah. They didn't get to party at all last week. I mean, you know, that was the worst day you can ask for as a supporter in a ground. So they're going to want to really add as much. I think but
it's a question.
It's going to be a terrific.
It's a question, right? Whether you can just switch from the one gear to the other just like within an instance, or whether there's something like some ghosts still lingering around from the shock and the things that have happened. Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, thank you so much, Sebastian. Thank you for joining us this morning. For you,
Alex, Leon, it's a pleasure. I'm really excited. I think where are we at right now? I think it's halftime right now.
Yeah.
Of Russia-Finland. Is it 0-0?
Yeah.
It's still 0-0. Okay, so hey, good. We managed to do an episode during a Euro game and didn't miss anything. Yeah. Oh wait, no! I'm wrong. Miranchuk just scored for Russia in the second minute of half.
True.
If we stopped one question ago, we would have been perfect.
But you know, I think that is an absolutely perfect thing. This has been an amazing tournament so far. Every single day, every single game, there's a story that's just too much fun to not stick with. And I mean, this is great, right? We're like, oh no, we planned this out perfectly, we didn't miss anything. Bang, there you go. Go right for that.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
All right, fantastic.
Well, big pleasure, guys. Thank you guys so much. And let's try and reconnect maybe after the group stage or something like that. So to do another, maybe actually put out some predictions when it's possible.
All right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be
good.
Have to
pick
in between
30 out of 37.
No, I'd like that. I like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely love it. All right, man.
Awesome, gentlemen.
All right.
You too. Take it easy, guys.
Bye-bye.